The idea of the Saskatchewan plan was to build hospitals that would be really good hospitals, where people would be held until they got well. They would keep patients even 3 to 6, 12 months if necessary. Then the drugs came along. They were so dramatic that psychiatry began to think, we don't need these hospitals. Their plan was not to really build a large number of smaller institutions where they could house them properly. Their plan was simply to put them all on drugs and discharge them. And for a while it was an enormous feather in your cap if the superintendent of a hospital could claim that he was emptying his hospital faster than you were. If you started off the hospital with 2,000 patients and 5 years later you only had 1,000, that was kind of great news. Where did the 1,000 go? They went onto the streets. They went into terrible nursing homes. They went into terribly undesirable places.
Once you have schizophrenia, it's a life sentence. That's it. You're never going to change. You're probably maybe going to get worse. Or you just have to medicate you, and then you may be able to limp along on a somewhat normal existence, but totally medicated. And people don't like the medications. They have a lot of side effects, so they go off them.
Basically what we're dealing with is a culture of life and a culture of death. And a culture of life is to try to supply the body with what it needs and to keep away toxic things. I think the culture of life is an orthomolecular approach. The culture of death is one that focuses on profits. And that's what motivates everything. So it's the financial situation that is motivating the development of the drugs and paying dividends to the stock holders and things like that. That's what's important. That's what drives things.
Of course, this is the future of medicine. I mean, it works. I mean, number one, it works. Number two, it's safe. So why aren't we all doing this? And I think the bottom line is it is money. The pharmaceutical industry has such a tight hold on medical training. So the average doctor just simply doesn't learn this stuff. And by the time they come out of medical school, they've got all this knowledge about how to diagnose diseases and which drugs to use and so on. And they've often been taught that particular nutrients, just aren't effective, sort of drug versus nutrient. But of course, this whole approach is not about, a different kind of pill for an ill. It's actually an entirely different approach. And then when you couple that with the fact that you simply cannot do orthomolecular medicine in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it really requires a much longer and more detailed involvement with the patient to really find out about their lifestyle. And also when you find out that, it's relatively easy to get someone to take a pill, but to change a behavior as fundamental as eating, now that really takes a lot of work. So doctors are neither trained in the science of this, nor are they trained in the practice of how you would do it.
And now we are in the era of big pharma. We have huge companies that spend billions of dollars on research and investigation. The investigation is not really that hot because they don't do much original stuff. They allow much of the original stuff is done for them by university professors who don't get paid for it. So we are giving them free research personnel. But as soon as something seems to be valuable, they take out a patent on it and they make the money out of it. There's no profit today, and this sounds very cynical, there's no profit today in getting people well. Our society is based upon the fact that we have to have a certain proportion of people sick so that we can treat them. Hope. You can't live without hope. Suicide. High suicide rate with schizophrenics, high suicide rate with depressions. Very high, very high. It's always due to the fact that they have been not given any hope. Their hope has been taken away, because that's one of the most important therapeutic principles we have, hope.
It takes work to make it work, though. You can't just say, oh, I'll take niacin, therefore I'll be better in 2 months. It's not the way it works. It's a subtle thing. You have to do the lifestyle as well as the vitamins. When you come out of it and you think, wow, that's amazing. how that could change. How that could change. It's amazing. You know, it's fantastic. So, good old Dr. Hoffer, he knows what he's doing.
As soon as one is introduced to and learns anything about the science and the chemistry behind orthomolecular medicine, it's so much more logical than the notion of throwing synthetic chemicals on top of already existing chemical imbalances, that it's amazing.
I mean, really, as a species, we are not well. And whatever approach that we've been employing within medicine, it's clearly not delivering. And I think that all the fingers are pointing very, very strongly at our 21st century diet and lifestyle. And I do sincerely hope that governments particularly and the medical profession as a whole will stop being so blinkered, because these diseases are not going to be solved by some magic drug.
We need radical changes from the grassroots. Everybody, we all have to change in order to save our bodies, our earth, our universe probably.
Science is a way of investigating phenomena. It doesn't really give us any final answers. It does give us many answers. It doesn't give us the final answer. We don't know anything, do we? Let's all think about it. How is it possible for the Earth to go around the sun? We're millions of miles away. What's that fantastic attraction that keeps us from flying off into space? Well, we have laws. We have the laws of gravity. We have the laws of movement. Newton made those very clear. We have all these laws. We know that these things happen, but we don't understand why they happen. I think there is some kind of unity in the whole universe. How it came about, I don't have the slightest idea, but there is something. There is something called life force. This fantastic tenacity to living, which is hard to understand.
We've no padded cells here. We're here for the world to see. Our job is to press on with our search for the causes of mental illnesses, to apply our knowledge quickly as we go along. Our aim is to get as many long-stay patients out as possible, to keep new patients so briefly that they don't get cut off from family and society. Lastly, to keep them outside altogether. We look forward to a day, years away perhaps, when these great buildings will no longer be needed to house backlogs of long-stay patients.
And now we have a new paradigm, which is called vitamin as treatment. We initiated this whole megavitamin concept. Our work actually is the first in the world to create public attention to the fact that vitamins were therapeutic in themselves, that you could use them for a large number of conditions that were not considered vitamin deficiency diseases, and that you'd have to use them in the right concentration. There was no God didn't say you must only use thiamine in tiny milligrams. God said if you have thiamine, use it as you need it. If you have vitamin C, use it as you need it. And that was the major thing. So I think that's going to revolutionize medicine, starting to do that now. It led to the orthomolecular treatment. It arose from the adrenochrome hypotheses. And as a result of this hypothesis, as a result of this paradigm change, we now have a treatment for schizophrenia, which is not perfect, but awful better, certainly a lot better than just using drugs. So I would hope that my major contribution one day will be that I was one of the pioneers in helping create the new vitamin as treatment paradigm. So I don't have the answer, but one day we're going to have the answers, and when orthomolecular medicine has taken over all of medicine, instead of spending billions of dollars examining one drug after another that's toxic, we will now start to look exactly at each particular disease and find out what are the needs for that particular disease. That's what's going to happen. The potatoes will contain a mixture of almost all the vitamins, but in very small amounts. but they are particularly lacking in the vitamin Bs. They don't have enough Bs. I already have 300 toxic compounds in my blood, so do you. We'll never ever live again in a pure free world unless humanity gets destroyed. And the best way to deal with the pollutants that we have already is to take lots of vitamins, who act as a safety device. It helps the liver get rid of all these toxins. If you want to come and tell me, can you handle 3 of these?
Sure. Well, I'll just take 2 for now.
So this is for you.